femininity is only the property of women. Only women can be feminine, and femininity is an essential good. Our culture cannot exist without it. It will be bad. Without it, it will die, as far as I'm concerned. The important thing is, I really do believe that we are coming to the promised land of a more traditionalist culture, a more American culture, restoring the culture that was destroyed in the 60s, really. It's really been that long. It takes a long time to destroy a brilliant culture, but they did it. And I think that this future, belongs to you. It's not going to belong to my generation. It's going to belong to the younger generation. And I think we have to think about who we are, because there are a lot of voices pulling us in different directions. And all this stuff, all the hatred and all this and pulling us away. I mean, as I've said before, one of the reasons I write books like Kingdom of Cain and The Truth and Beauty, books about our culture, is to remember that the biggest news story of the last 500 years is the loss of Christian faith in the West. And when it comes back, I don't want it coming back with a face of hatred. I don't want it coming back with a face of violence. I don't want it coming back with a face of oppression or authoritarianism. I want it coming back with its true self, which is the voice of freedom and love. That is the voice of Christ. It is. I don't even understand how some of the people who say the filthy things they say in the name of Christ get that out of the gospel when the gospel is just so full of light and so full of love. And I think that is going to be an important part of rebuilding the culture, is a truly Christian culture. And so last week, I think was it last week or the week before, we were talking about storytelling, and I was saying some of the things that I think we have to start to include in storytelling are three important changes. I listed as one, there is a God, and we should just assume, we don't have to talk about him, just like Shakespeare. We can just assume his presence and assume the world is like it would be if there were a God with a moral order and nice things like that, and with a sense that human beings are made to understand the moral order, that we're not deluded when we say something is wrong or something is evil. We have to explore it. We have to make sure it can be shown by reason, but our feelings do matter. We feel things first, we sense things first, and then we put the reasons on them. And then the other thing was that femininity, which is most often expressed by motherhood and homemaking, but is sometimes expressed in other ways. Everybody's an individual, and even motherhood and homemaking can look different for different individuals. But femininity is only the property of women. Only women can be feminine, and femininity is an essential good. Our culture cannot exist without it. It will be bad. Without it, it will die, as far as I'm concerned. Without it, it can only be provided by women. And that creates complications to being a man, because men like to build things and break things. That is what we are good at. We build things and break things, and when you have women in the mix, suddenly you have to restrain yourself. You have to learn how to lead and create and have power without being domineering and oppressive. Those are complicated, excellent stories. And again, because motherhood especially and femininity, like religion, these are two things that get in the way of all power systems. All power systems hate religion. True religion, I mean godly religion. They're what are sometimes called creeds, which is just things that like the state religion. But all power centers hate independent religion that is your relationship with God, and they all hate femininity and motherhood because it says, hey, wait, there is a domain, the home, which is more important than the overall state and the overall society. So they all denigrate it. They all denigrate it. And the way they get you to stop protesting their denigrations is by telling you you're anti-feminist if you elevate femininity. That is one of the things they do. Recently, I got, it wasn't that recent, a few months back, somebody was pillorying me for speaking what to me is a basic truth, which is, I said I was doing one of my rants about the fact that they put these scenes in movies or TV where women beat up men. And I hate these things because, as we are learning through the violence of the transgender movement, that is not normal. Yes, of course, like some women can beat up some men, but let's speak in generalities. Women cannot beat up men. They are much smaller, much weaker, much more frail in body, and they will be destroyed. And that is one of the ways, that is one of the central ideas behind societies. One of the central things they deal with is how do we deal with this, unfair division of power? How do we, if you're a good society, how do we protect women? What are the rules? What are the rules and the ways that men do it? And I said something, if you're a person like me, I'm quoting myself, who loves women and wants to have a wonderful life with a wonderful woman and respect her and never raise a hard hand against her, you have to find that woman. I said, you have to find a woman who doesn't need to be smacked around in order to behave in a civilized way. In other words, if you want to be a gentleman, you have to find a lady, right? And there's no point in being like pretending to be shocked about that. It's no point in pretending that there aren't women who will abuse you because you you are a gentleman and you have to leave those women and find a woman who's not like that. That was my point. You don't want to have a woman that you feel like in order to not be abused, you have to use force against her. That's a horrible thing. You want to just get out of that relationship, right? And to pretend that there are no women like that, anyone who believes there are no women like that has simply never been president of France. I mean, that's let me just put it to you that way, all right? Have you checked your home title lately? Neither have I. Most homeowners never do. But with the growing amount of digital scams targeting property owners, it's more important than ever. With modern technology, criminals have found an alarming way to steal your home equity. They simply forge your signature on a document, add a fake notary stamp, pay a small county fee, and just like that, your home title gets transferred without your knowledge. Once they control your title, they can take out loans against your equity or even sell your property entirely. And the worst part, you might not discover anything's wrong until you receive an unexpected collection notice or foreclosure letter. Don't wait until it's too late. You want to get peace of mind with this. You don't want to have to worry about it. Take a moment right now to verify your home title status and protect what's likely your biggest investment. Use promo code Klavan at HomeTitleLock.com to make sure your title is still in your name. You'll also get a free title history report plus a free 14-day trial of their $1 million triple lock protection. That's 24/7 monitoring of your title, urgent alerts to any changes, and if fraud should happen, they'll spend up to $1 million to fix it. Go to HomeTitleLock.com now. Use promo code Klavan. That's HomeTitleLock.com. Promo code, wait for it, it's KLAVAN. So I want to talk about briefly, I've been bringing all these old references up. I want to bring one more up, a film that is one of my favorite films, and I think one of the greatest American films ever made. Philadelphia Story, 1940, one of the greatest casts in the world. Cary Grant, Jimmy Stewart, Katharine Hepburn. You can't do any better than that.
Oh, how stupid.
Katharine Hepburn actually was in the play of Philadelphia Story and optioned the play because her career was failing. She'd had like one flop after another, and she wanted to bring herself back, and she did with this brilliant, brilliant film. And it is about Cary Grant plays an alcoholic who has ruined his marriage to this very unforgiving ice queen named Tracy Samantha Lord, and who was Katharine Hepburn. So I'll just call them by the actors' names. And the film starts out, Cary Grant storms out of his mansion with his hands full with suitcases, and Katharine Hepburn follows her out with this kind of very slappable smirk on her face and starts breaking his golf clubs and destroying his precious, doodads that he had in his office and things like that. And he follows her back and he lifts his fist to her and he's about to punch her in the face, and then he can't do it because she's a lady, and instead he just pushes her in the face and she goes down. And you're just thinking as you watch this, yeah, she deserved that. I mean, I'm glad he didn't punch her, but she deserved it. So it's about basically these two men. One is Cary Grant, who comes back because his ex-wife is about to remarry a kind of stuffy, self-made man, and he wants her back. And she will never forgive him for drinking. And James Stewart is a tabloid reporter who comes back to cover this socialite wedding. And James Stewart just falls for her. So Cary Grant, having been married to her, sees her flaws and sees that she's unforgiving and wants her forgiveness, but he doesn't know how to really ask for it. And so he really gives it to her. This is what he says, is cut 12.
You're far and away your favorite person in the world.
Dexter, in case you don't know...
Of course, Mr. Connor. She's a girl who's generous to a fault.
To a fault, Mr. Connor.
Except to other people's faults. For instance, she never had any understanding of my deep and gorgeous thirst.
That was your problem.
Red did. But you took on that problem with me when you took me, Red. You were no helpmate there. You were a scold.
It was disgusting. It made you so unattractive.
A weakness, sure. And strength is her religion, Mr. Connor. She finds human imperfection unforgivable.
So all that is true of her, but he's also a drunk. And so he's asking her, really, in that very tough scene, he's asking her for forgiveness. That is his manly way of asking her for forgiveness. And meanwhile, Jimmy Stewart just falls for her like a ton of bricks. And he's just a street reporter trying to make his way as a writer. And this is the scene where he actually starts to fall in love with her. It's cut 13.
There's a magnificence in you, Tracy.
Now, I'm getting self-conscious. It's funny, Mike, that's...
Yeah?
I don't know. Go up, I guess. It's late.
magnificence that comes out of your eyes and your voice and the way you stand there and the way you walk. You're lit from within, Tracy. You've got fires banked down in you. Hearth fires and holocausts.
I don't seem to you made of bronze.
No, you're made out of flesh and blood. That's the blank, unholy surprise of it.
I mean, it's a great, she suddenly comes to life as a woman because he sees her, he sees who she is, and he sees who she really is under her defenses and under the fact that she's been hurt by her alcoholic husband. And the reason this movie is not a tragedy, the reason it's a comedy, I mean, I'm not giving anything away there, is because the men in the end live by a code that respects her and understands that they have to play by certain rules to let her be herself. And because she understands that Cary Grant has a point, that she needs to find a little bit of feminine tenderness and forgiveness and let somebody she loves back in her life. It's an amazing film about how society is constructed on the way that women are and the way that men are and the things that we owe to one another. You know, one of the reasons that Sigmund Freud, not a lot of people know this, there's an obscure fact for it. Sigmund Freud insisted, like a tyrant, that all motivations came from sex. All our motivations came from sex. And he would throw anybody out of his circle who wouldn't agree with him, and he would just condemn them and all this stuff. And he said he had to do this because otherwise people would start to turn to the occult. And what he meant by this was that they would recognize that there is something inside us that is not physical. And Freud, that goes against Freud's materialist philosophy. They would understand that we are spirits. We are not human beings. You know, the thing about men and women is that sex is really not the point of them, right? Sex is a beautiful thing. And I think people who are married should have sex like crazy. And I think they should be generous and wonderful about their sex lives and love their sex life and give each other what they need and all that stuff. But it ain't about the sex. Sex is beautiful. But when it comes to women, everything is about love, which is a spiritual experience. And so I think that two generations have been taught that they need some kind of rules, some kind of legal rules. But what they really need is to not be afraid of being gentlemen and ladies. They need to not be afraid of being gentlemen and ladies. And you don't have to be Katharine Hepburn. It helps to be Katharine Hepburn. I won't lie to you. But you don't have to be Katharine Hepburn to be a lady. You don't have to be Katharine Hepburn to be a lady. And you don't have to be Cary Grant, though it helps, to be a gentleman. You simply have to have a code and live by that code that makes things come to life. And I think we have to remember that because, you know, you can throw, old saying, you can throw nature out the door, but it's going to come back in through the window. And I think that's what needs to happen next. It needs to come back through the window because if of all things in our world, our sexual lives the house is burning. And when nature comes back and when we learn how to handle nature, that too will be fine. For more superior material, like and subscribe. And for even more, subscribe to The Andrew Klavan Show wherever you get your podcasts.